Hey everyone, today we're going to have a rather in-depth look at Eric Johnson's Cliffs of Dover. You can check out my full performance video of this very difficult classic guitar instrumental below if you wish. I'll put a link to it in the description. I'll also be using this performance in a few sections of this walkthrough as well without the backing track. I'm going to try to keep this chit-chat as short as I can, as there's going to be a lot to cover here, but I do have a few things to say about tuning, tone, the key, the scales used, and the difficulty of this piece. As far as tuning goes, we're in standard tuning. Yay, that was easy. Give this video a pause, get yourself in standard tuning if you're not, and we'll continue. The tone. Eric Johnson has a very unique tone, and I'm going to try to give you a little bit of insight on how to get close to what a lot of people refer to as Eric Johnson's violin tone. Getting it exact is extremely difficult, as Johnson was and is a tone freak, and his very expensive gear is modified in the extreme to achieve his signature tone. But I think we can get pretty close. Eric pretty much used a flat-out lead tone for the entirety of Cliffs of Dover. So whatever amp you have, you're going to want a good crunch. Not too saturated with distortion, but not too clean either. But you don't want to get into like metal distortion territory. Eric used a cranked Marshall Plexi to achieve this tone. So if you have a Marshall Plexi, congratulations, good for you, I'm jealous. Second of all, crank that baby up and give her some gain, up to about a 7 or 8. For those of us without a Plexi, get a nice crunch tone on your amp or software if you're software driven, and stick a tube overdrive pedal like a tube screamer in front of the amp. Keep the gain on the pedal pretty low at about 10 or 20%, using mostly amp gain. Lots of volume, and like I said, the gain somewhere around 7 or 8. Now here's the key. Kill all the high end everywhere you can. Treble and presence on the amp set to 0. Bass and mids on 4, 5, or 6. Tone on the overdrive pedal set to 0 as well. Now, despite killing all the high end, you're going to want to be in either position 1, the bridge position on the guitar, or position 2, the bridge middle. A Strat, preferably, as Eric Johnson is a Strat guy. I went with position 2 for my performance, as my bridge position alone on this particular guitar is just way too thin and twangy. I must replace it. I'm really not happy with this bridge pickup. Regardless, now we're going to need some delay. So set your delay to about 420 milliseconds and the feedback on about 4 repeats. That should be about 40% feedback. Finally, add a little bit of plate reverb. Again, not too much, 10, 20%, and that'll nicely complement your delay and bring back a small bit of the highs that you cut out. That should get you close tone-wise. On to the key and the scale used in this. Cliffs of Dover is in the key of G major, and Eric tends to spend most of his time bouncing between the G major scale and its relative minor boxes of E minor, using the E natural minor scale shapes. The G major scale and the E natural minor scale are actually the same notes, just different scale shapes and positions up and down the neck. But we'll get into that as we go along. On to the difficulty. It's difficult, very difficult. There's very little here for the beginner guitarist, sorry. For the intermediate guitarist, there's lots of good stuff to learn and practice hard to help take your playing maybe to the next level, like hybrid picking, fast alternate picking, economy picking, whatnot. And for the advanced guitarist, well, likewise, though you may find some of this a bit easier to wrap your head and your fingers around, but it's a damn good challenge for even the most advanced players. A word of warning: if you're one of those players who doesn't use your pinky very much, you will not be able to play this. It's very, very pinky intensive. So be forewarned. If you're an advanced player who wishes to strengthen that pinky, then this will be perfect for you. So that said, onward. Let's get started and have a look at the intro solo. So let's take a quick look at my performance of the intro solo, and then we'll dig into it. All right, so we're gonna have a look at the intro solo. We're starting off here in this minor box here at the 12th fret, this E minor box, and we're going to start with an open E, and this is about the only blues lick in the entirety of Cliffs of Dover. But we're a full step, no, a two-step bend actually at the 15th fret of the high E. He really gets up there. And adding vibrato there. And vibrato there. Now there's one little transition in that it just gave me fits, and I kind of copped out a little bit. I couldn't pick it at first, and so I hammered it on. I did a little bit of legato, but I can pick it now. It's this part here. That right there. That little transition there, that little roll back from 12 to 15 back to 12 on the high E. At speed, I couldn't pick it properly, so I hammered it on. I can pick it now. Messed it up a little bit there, but that's tricky. So I kind of copped out with a little bit of a legato. But so anyway, that's the opening lick. And then we're into this very difficult lick. And now we're into the G major scale shapes. And that little chromatic rollback, little pull off there, that's really tricky at speed to get that back up to the 8th fret of the B. And that little transition there is difficult too, a little pull off. So that's that lick. So up to that point, and then we're going to grab the 8th fret of the B, the root note, and give it a full step bend release. And then we're going to do this little spider crawl string skipping lick, which is very cool. So that is, we're skipping the G string, so we're doing A, D, and it's all down pick. No, it's not. Down, down, up. So we're at 3, 7, 5, skipping the G string, and then we're just moving the whole thing up to 5, 9, 7. And then when you get to that 7, you're going to do that little lick. sliding up to 15 and back. And then we're going to continue the spider crawl here at this position at the 10th fret. So that's 10, 14, 12, 12, 14, 13. And then we're up to, and that's 14, 17, 15. And then 15, 17, 17, and then 17, 19, 19 with your pinky. And then finishing the whole thing up the 15th fret of the high E. And then we're into that famous little lick there, that little bicycle lick, hybrid picking. I hybrid pick it with my ring finger. So you're going to plant your index finger at the 15th fret of the high E, and you're going to bicycle up the 19th fret of the B, the G, the D, and then you're going to pedal them back down 17 on the same strings, D to G to B. And you're going to down pick each note, and between each picked note, you're going to grab that 15th fret of the high E with your ring finger. And you're going to do that twice. And then the next two times you do it, you're not going to go up to the D string. You're just going to do it on the B and the G. So the first two times. And the second two times, you do not go up to the D string. And then you're into this very quick little run. That wasn't so quick there. That was about a third of the speed. But now there's a part of that lick as well. When I first learned it 2 years ago, I couldn't pick it, so I was copping out and doing a bit of legato. Eric Johnson, I read an article about Eric Johnson, and he states that he likes to learn everything and be able to pick everything he's playing and use legato as an effect, not as a cop-out or as a crutch when he can't pick something. So I bailed on a few of these licks when I first learned it, and this was one of them. This lick right here. I couldn't pick it as fast as I needed to, so I was legatoing it. I was going, and it still sounds good, but I can now pick it. And so what you have to do to pick that properly is down, up, up, down, up. So down, up, up, down, up. Down, up, up, down, up. And that's a little bit of like economy picking, I guess you call it. And then finishing up on the root note there at the 15th fret. And then at the 18th fret, big full step bend with vibrato. So one time through that lick again. There's a little bit of like rolling going on in that lick. So that is the whole opening solo, and so I'm going to run through it slowly, okay? And that's the opening solo, and now we're going to dig into the, I guess what you could call the verse, the first verse, a verse without vocals. But so anyway, have a look at my performance of the first verse, and then we'll dig into it. All right, so this little guy. So you're going to repeat that 4 times, and so it's string skipping again. We're skipping the G string again. It's kind of odd how this this whole thing is in G, and yet almost all this string skipping, he's skipping the G. So we're basically planting a bar here at the 3rd fret, and we're bouncing. It's kind of a very bouncy type of little lick at the 5th fret of the D. And this is hybrid picking again, and this time I'm not using my ring finger, I'm using my middle finger to do the hybrid picking. So we're just basically going from 3 to 5 to 7 on the B. And back again. And then we're into this. A little D shape there at the 7th fret. And this little G chord at the 10th fret. So you got your 10th fret on the A, and you've got your the 8th fret on the B, and the 10th fret on the high E. And you're hybrid picking that as well. You're picking the A string, and your 2 fingers here. And then back into that again. And now we're into a little C minor shape. And doing the same thing. Pick the top note, pull the bottom 2 notes with your fingers. So. A little out of tune. And then back into this. And then for this, we do that once, and then we go into this. So that is basically barring the entire 3rd fret, and you're just doing the same hybrid picking again. And then you're planting your finger on the 5th fret of the A, and then getting your pinky down there on the 5th fret of the high E. And then up to this chord here, I believe we already played that one. And then down into this, barring the 12th fret, D, G, and B. Nothing too difficult there. And then back into this. And then we're into a couple of power chords. C power chord, D power chord. And then we're into the other famous little lick. So you're basically making a bar you're sliding the bar down, and while you're sliding the bar down, you're doing your little pinky slides. And that's 14 to 12 to 14. And that little shift right there is very difficult to learn because you're so used to with the pinky, and now you have to switch to your ring finger to get your pinky down there on the 15th fret of the B string, and that's a really weird little transition. Now, the very last time, instead of playing that there, I move it down here because it's not only easier to play right here, but we're about to move back into this. We're about to move back into that again, and so you're closer, so it's faster. So that little lick again. And then we're into this. So that's we're at the 14th fret, and then hammer on the 15th with your pinky. Don't hammer on, pick it. And now when you move into the next section here, you're going to want to back your pinky right up to the 12, so you can get into that lick there. Back into that. And that's basically a little D shape. Basically it's the whole D chord. So where are we coming from? And now we're into backwards D shape. And that chord again. And this time we're going to slide in from 10 to 12 and play that same lick we played earlier. Back to this. And then this lick. And lots of string skipping going on there as well. And then we're into this. Vibrato. Back into this. And now instead of doing the power chords, we're going to do this chord, this C chord up here. You're going to bar the 5th fret with your index, and you're going to grab the 8th fret of the B and the E with your pinky to get those 2 notes in there. And then the D. So up to that point. Oh, I lost the plot. All right, and then we're back into this again. And at speed is very quick. So we're coming out of this. So we're going down that little D shape again. And then getting onto the 15th fret of the high E. And then this quick little run. And this is down the G major scale. again, lots of pinky work in there. Finishing up on 17 of the B. So except about 4 times faster. And then we're back into this. And then finishing up with that again. And then we're into this little bridge section. And that's basically just barring the 5th fret with your index and getting your pinky on the 8th fret of the B, and then just bouncing your ring finger off 7 with a little creative picking. You do that like 4 times. And then we're into this little quick little lick. Whoops, sorry. Lots of pull-offs there, legato work. You get that? That's all down picked. And then we're back into this. And then back into that again. Back into that again. Play that same lick that you started that little phrase with, and then back to this. And he sometimes gets down here into this. He'll get his thumb over the top of the neck and play a G chord like that. The same kind of thing you're doing here, but he's doing it up here. So, and I'm going to run through that whole little transition part again, the little bridge part. That's quick, a little shift. And now we're into this. Weird. I find this part very weird. And that's more string skipping. Little octave there of the B. And more string skipping. We're at the 5th fret of the D and the 5th fret of the high E, and then grabbing the 7th fret of the G. So, and more hybrid picking. And now this really tricky little chordal structure. So you're barring the 5th fret middle finger on the 7th fret and your ring finger on the 8th fret. And so you're doing little two string strums. A little out of tune. So the first two are 7/8. There it is. Those are the first two, and those are the second two, and then you get your down there on the 7th fret of the E, and then back up to those two. That's tricky at speed. And then we're into D with your pinky on the 3rd fret. And then this little hybrid pick thing again. You're grabbing the bottom two strings with your fingers. So you're, it's a little D, another D shape. You got that? And then we're into the solos. So let's have a look at the my performance of the solo, I guess, and then we'll get back to it and show you guys how to play the solo. Alright, so let's have a look at the solo. This is the easiest part of the whole piece, so no, it's not. It's a very difficult solo. So we're up here in the E box, the E minor box at the 12th fret to start this thing off. And that's 12, 14, 14. More string skipping. And that little lick right there is hard to play at speed. Lots of little pull-offs there. And then a little roll from 14 to 14. Lots of string skipping going on in this. So up to that point. And an index bend. Gotta get that, do those bends with your index finger. They're good. So, now we're in, and then you're going to slide down to the 7th fret there of the A string. And this little slide up. 9 to 10, 12. Double hit there to finish it. So and then this little lick, and very weird scale shapes here. Backwards D shape there. And weird finger positionings as well. At least the way I worked it out. And then you gotta shift from your middle finger on the same fret up to your index finger. And again, you're skipping the A string there. More string skipping. And that very fast little run. So up to that point, let me just slow down that little fast little run. And this is down the G major scale. Finishing up on 19. So up to that point of the solo, because the next lick is the absolute hardest thing in the entire instrumental. And so we're going to get to that. So up to that point of the solo. And now this lick. Except about 10 times faster. One more time. It's really bloody hard. So anyway, that's that lick out of the way. And then we're into this. And then we're going to do these little slides. And that's, what is that, 17, 19, 20. And then back to 19 of the high E. And then we're back into this hybrid picking bit again that we used at the beginning. except this time you only bicycle up once to the D string, and the next time you go to the G string. So up to that point from the difficult lick. And then we're into this. Hammering on, what is that, 14 to 15. So that's, what is that, 13, 16, and then 14, 17 on the G string. And that is really hard as well. To pick down with these two fingers. And then up to, what is that, 21? Full step bend with lots of vibrato, and that's the end of the solo. So I'm going to run through the entire solo slowly. And then we're back into this. And then the second time, we're going to get into this little lick. So. So at full speed. And then we're going to do the same thing, that same lick up here. Up on the higher register. And then back here. And then this really neat little sweep. I'm not in tune. Anyway, we're almost done. You're going to hammer on there from 14 to 17. And it's basically D. Little D shape. And then you're going to grab the 16th fret and then pull it off to the open D. So you're going to sweep up. God. There it is. And then back into this. I never realized how much string skipping there is in this whole bloody thing. And now, the closing lick, really, really hard. So we're at the 18th fret on the B string. Big bend, lots of vibrato. And then you're rolling on the 15th fret. What is that? 11th fret? So anyway, yeah, one more time. And that's it. When you get that up to speed, it's really bloody hard to play. And that is how you play Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. I didn't go through that, like a beginner tutorial, fret by fret, and this is the 12th fret, and this is the 14th fret, and because it's really not something you can play if you're a beginner. So hopefully you know your scale shapes and you know your positions, and you can possibly play this bloody thing. But it's tough. It's a good challenge, and good luck with it, and have fun with it, because it's a hell of a lot of fun once you get it under your belt. And so anyway, I hope that helped you guys out, and you guys take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Ciao.